There'll be a lot of black angels in heaven after this.
Hello and welcome to the Tvwan Midday News. I'm Maricela Calaton. The Family and Sexual Violence Unit in Papua New Guinea is not resourced to fully carry out its responsibilities, says the Director Superintendent Delilah Sandeka. Sandeka said this when testifying at the Commission of Inquiry into the January 10th civil unrest yesterday at the APEC House in Port Moresby.
When testifying at the Commission of Inquiry into the January 10th civil unrest at the APEC House in Port Moresby yesterday, the Director of Family and Sexual Violence Unit, or FSV, Superintendent Delilah Sandeka said, since the establishment of the Directorate in 2009, the unit has not been resourced. Superintendent Sandeka said there is no proper standard operating structure to guide the operations of the Directorate. She said when she took office, she created policies and guidelines and established a standard operating structure, of which a document with visions and recommendations was sent to the RPNGC Human Resource Division, but is yet to be included in the ALESCO system.
Sent to DPM? Yeah. And since it's approved, I don't know what the procedure is. They're still waiting for it to be uploaded to our RPNGC ALESCO system.
Sandeka said there is only one main unit in Port Moresby located at Boroko Police Station and 9 units in various police stations in the city, with about 54 units in the 11 provinces of PNG, excluding Kavieng. Only 106 police officers are working in those units. In Port Moresby, there are currently 21 officers and only 3 police officers are working in Boroko, while others are working in other police stations in the city. Often, only 1 police officer is stationed in 1 unit.
Directorate where I'm seated is the only one here in NCD. In terms of family sexual violence units, we have about 54 family sexual violence units across the country.
She said the main objective of establishing units in all provinces is to be accessible to victims of family and sexual violence. However, with limited space, FSV units are often set at the back of a police station. She said many times victims are turned away when they are addressed by an angry receptionist at the front desk. Due to the sensitivity of their issues, they often shy away. This is one of the many challenges they are faced with.
PSC allocated a space inside the police station, but it's right at the back inside, and women, even children and men who are victims of domestic violence find it hard to access that because policemen at the counter would question them. And with dealing with these issues,
it's a bit counterproductive.
Yeah, it's very sensitive, so most of the women wouldn't feel really comfortable for police officers at the front counter to question them. Yeah.
Superintendent Sandeka said there is no system in place to keep a record of the number of cases they receive but assured the inquiry that they receive a lot of cases. The director said that currently there is a need for funding to operate this unit and a need for more manpower to manage and run this unit. She added that should the standard operating structure be approved and included in the RPNGC ALESCO system, it will uplift the standard of this directorate. Ruth Rungula, TV1 News.
Meanwhile, Superintendent Sandeka added that there are no positions in the FSVU for police officers to apply and move from the rank of a police constable. Sandeka said as a result, most FSVU officers move to other sections of the police force to find better positions that benefit them. Consequently, they lose hard-working and dedicated FSVU police officers who worked for more than 5 years but were still in the same position, as they cannot promote them further as no new positions are created for them.
This is a big demoralizing factor the FSBU is facing currently, our officers.
Yes.
So RPNGHR needs to liaise and coordinate with the DPM for all the FSBU positions in the 22 provinces and the district to be uploaded into the RPNGC ALESCO system.
Medan Governor Ramsey Poriwa says his province has been missing out on infrastructure and business development grants from the Ramu Niko project in recent years, with the last payment made in 2011. He said the national government failed to fulfill its obligation in paying the province what is theirs. In comparing the recent IDG and BDG payments made to various provinces, Pariwa said Medan has been missing out on its share, whilst other resource-rich provinces have been enjoying the grants, noting that Ramu Niko has been in operation all this time and yet Medan has never been benefiting from these grants. Pariwa said the Wafi Gopu project has never produced an ounce of gold, but Morbe provincial government has been receiving IDG funding. Additionally, the Porgera gold mine was shut down for 4 years, but Enga province has been receiving IDGs. Papua LNG is not even in operation as yet, but Gulf province is receiving IDGs. He said this was totally unfair for Medan province. Medan police are set and geared up for the independence operation, starting with footbeat patrols within the settlements and compounds as a show of presence. Police will also conduct law and order awareness within communities during independence. Upon patrolling through the DCA, Gov Store and Kerma compounds for their first run of awareness, they noticed youth acting suspiciously in their presence, and from body reactions portrayed, the policemen stumbled onto youth who had been hiding homemade arms and weapons, illicit drugs and homebrew. This foot patrol resulted in 5 suspects being apprehended and now in police custody. Police in Medan province won the Independence weekend leading up to Monday, Independence Day, to be respected and celebrated in peace. A stern warning is also issued to the general public to respect one another during this period, and is advising the public to stop any loud music and noise by 10 p.m. or deal with police officers.
Security forces. But otherwise, we will be doing our normal, going through our normal line of duties.
Thank you.
The Karawagi Cultural Show has been awarded a certificate of recognition by the National Cultural Commission. NCC Executive Director Stephen Kilanda emphasized the NCC's commitment to collaborating with provincial and district authorities to preserve and celebrate Papua New Guinea's rich cultural heritage. He acknowledged the challenges faced by the NCC and highlighted the importance of local partnerships in safeguarding culture. The National Cultural Commission reaffirmed its commitment to preserving Papua New Guinea's cultural heritage by supporting the Mambu Nagaramut Festival. The Mambu Nagarmut Festival, first held in 2005, celebrates the iconic instruments of the Mamase region, the steel drum or garmut and bamboo flute, the mambu. These instruments play a crucial role in traditional communication, ceremonies and storytelling in East Sepik province. The NCC presented a 10,000 kina check to further back the event, which continues to showcase and safeguard the province's cultural diversity. The festival, organized in collaboration with the East Sepik provincial government, aims to preserve and promote the region's unique cultural practices, ensuring they are passed on to future generations. Children could be banned from accessing social media. The Prime Minister is pledging to legislate a minimum age by the end of the year. The idea has, in principle, support across the political aisle, but the opposition is criticizing the government for announcing the policy before finalizing how it will work.
For high school students like Zoe, Georgia and Laura, being on social media is second nature.
In society nowadays, there's a lot of FOMO, a lot of fear of missing out.
But the pitfalls are also well known.
I have a private account and I only really look at what my friends are putting out online.
I know quite a few girls that I am friends with who have had very negative experiences with social media.
It can be used as a weapon for bullies, a vehicle for scammers, worst of all, a tool for online predators.
The Albanese government wants an age limit enforced, restricting access to apps for Australian kids.
We are seeking to be the best in the world.
Although it's yet to lock in a specific age between 14 and 16 and exactly how it'll do it, trialling the technology needed.
We believe the age limit should be 16, and that's why Peter Dutton announced that back in June.
Over the weekend, the South Australian government revealed its proposal to ban social media, kids under the age of 14 the target there. The Premier today welcoming a nationwide approach.
By having a uniform rule across the country, every parent can look their children in the eye and say it's not them, this is the law.
Getting kids away from social media when it's become so ingrained could prove difficult.
50% are using it 3 or 4 social media platforms and 25% 5 or more.
But the harm from some of the content shared online remains a powerful driver for change.
There are many anecdotal examples of social media being a driver for somebody's distress getting to such a level that they contemplate suicide.
There's still a lot of detail to be sorted through, from the age limit and how it'll be enforced, to which platforms will be regulated and whether the social media companies will even comply. The government is trying to regulate a wildly unregulated space, and social media companies have voiced stiff opposition in the past when governments have tried to control their operations. And not all are convinced. Streaming channel 6 News, founded and staffed by teens, has found quite a following.
If this ban was in place a couple of years ago, 6 News wouldn't have existed in the first place.
Hopeful the government will strike a balance in an often unbalanced domain.
The Health Minister has apologised for the cancellation of over 500 surgeries caused by a statewide nurses' strike. Nurses are demanding a 15% pay increase to address staff shortages and prevent migration interstate.
After months of asking for a better deal, nurses are running out of patience.
We've been forced to the streets because this government has ignored us and taken us for granted.
Chris Minns swept to power on a promise to lift nurses' pay and conditions. Today they rallied outside his office to tell him his offer of 10.5% over 3 years just won't cut it.
Oh, it's a kick in the guts. It really is. It does not feel like we're being respected for the professionals that we are.
The Premier wasn't in, but he couldn't escape one nurse's fury on Talkback Radio.
I'm exhausted. I am only doing this protest because we have no other avenue. It's not safe anymore for nurses or patients.
15% for nurses. I think that police and then the teachers and then the corrections officers and then those that work for paramedics would quite rightly knock on my door the very next day and say, well, we want 15% as well.
Nurses took their campaign statewide with a pointed message for those holding the purse strings, defying an order from the Industrial Relations Commission to halt the strike. The government says 3,813 staff walked off the job, meaning 518 planned surgeries had to be cancelled.
I'm very sorry to anyone who has missed their surgery today or waiting longer.
The Minister says he is delivering on a key union demand for nurse-to-patient ratios, but the opposition says the government overpromised before the election.
This is what happens when you're two-faced.
The government and nurses will return to the negotiating table on Thursday.
And that ends our midday news for today. Join us at 6 p.m. for our main bulletin. Bye for now.